So let's get started.
Here we go. So, welcome everybody. Good morning in the Americas. Good morning to Venerable Dromala, who's joining us from Chicago. Good afternoon in Europe and here in India. It's now 7 o'clock, and I think in Australia, New Zealand, down there, I think people are going to bed almost. So, welcome to day number 5, I believe. Time flies of Losar, so the Tibetan New Year and the Days of Miracles. So we are so happy that you're joining another session, and thank you so much, Venerable Droma, to join us. Welcome back. I think most of you know Venerable Droma. She used to be our resident teacher for 6 years. What a happy time for us. What a fortunate time for us. Before that, Venerable Droma studied at my Tripa College, you might have heard about. This is Yangtze Rinpoche's place in Portland, and then stayed a few years in Vajrapani, one of our sister centers, a retreat center in California, and then joined us here in India at Tushita as our resident teacher. And now Venerable Droma is back in Chicago, and we are so happy to have her here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Venerable Kumpanla. Okay, so let's get started with setting some motivation, and then I'll do a little bit of introduction and talk about what I'm talking about. So welcome everyone, and thank you to Shida for hosting these incredible teachings. So let's take a moment to turn inward, since that's who we are, inner beings as Buddhists. And just to explore and set a positive reason for being here, for participating in these teachings, practices today. And always reflecting on interdependence, the fact that since we are all interconnected, anything that we do impacts others. So when we bring positive thoughts and positive actions and good wishes for ourselves and for others, that they have an impact in the world, which is so needed in our world. So overcoming some of our helplessness and hopelessness through setting a positive motivation that through my actions today, through reciting and contemplating, that I am having an effect in the world. I'm having an effect on the suffering of myself and others. So what I thought I'd talk about today, since we are honoring Lama Zopa and praying for Lama Zopa's return, is that we would talk a little bit about guru devotion, which isn't, and it's interesting because for many of us modern people, guru, at least when I first approached it, guru had this sense of cult, which is kind of funny. But unfortunately, that word has been perverted a bit to have this sense of the leader is the one who you follow absolutely absently, without your own thought, without your own heart, which is kind of silly. But happens, unfortunately. Very charismatic people can sometimes lead others. And also in our modern world, we weren't brought up necessarily with gurus. So I think in in cultures like India, where a guru was part of their culture, I don't think they had the same kind of idealization that many of us do of a teacher. We sort of give up our whole will, give up our whole thinking for a teacher, and yet what the experience that I have had developing a relationship with my teacher has been that it's a process of learning to trust, a process of learning to relate to the teacher in this kind of paradoxical way. It's very interesting. We are taught that we should see only the positive qualities of a teacher, and yet the teacher is human at the same time, which means human means having faults, making mistakes. And so how do we do this? This was one of the biggest challenges for me, is because here's someone who, when they get sick, I have to take care of them, right? If they get sick like a regular human being, I'm not going to just ignore their sickness, right? But at the same time, there are qualities within them that if I relate to them through those positive qualities, through seeing their spiritual development, through seeing their kindness, their compassion, their wisdom, when I relate in that way and recognize those qualities as supreme and holy and very, very something that I want in me, then I get it more out of it. Okay, I develop more respect. So when we first start talking about the guru and guru devotion, we're talking about someone who is a role model and a guide for us, which, like Venerable Rabina talks about, if we want to learn to make cakes, we have to go to someone who knows how to make a cake, right? So, so with our spiritual teachers, we go to them for learning how to develop ourselves spiritually. When they're talking about examining a teacher, we always want someone who is further ahead on the path than we are, someone who has already gone through some of the same mistakes, some of the same challenges, who has developed these similar qualities. One of the things about a teacher in the Tibetan tradition is the fact that we take into consideration this multiple lifetimes, which is, again, one of those things that us as modern people have to overcome, have to sort of be able to look at more closely, be able to accept that maybe someone's past life held qualities, developed qualities, walked along the path that we don't necessarily are able to see right now. But when we trust that they have been where we have been in a past life, it becomes easier for us to relate to them and see those incredible qualities within them. One of the things that I hear often from people, and it is emphasized within the Tibetan tradition, is the importance of having a teacher. That a teacher is the heart of the path. Lama Zopa has an incredible book called I think it's The Heart of the Path, about guru devotion. It's a great book if you're interested in developing your guru devotion. It's an incredible book. Thick, nice and thick, but takes you through all the aspects of relating to a teacher. But this idea of I have to have a teacher in order to practice, and people get very stuck on that. And one of the things that I've been taught is that during the Buddha's time, and even, for many centuries after, while the Buddha's teachings were spreading, there was not the same kind of communication that we have these days. They did not have printing presses. They did not have a lot of paper. They did not have the internet, they didn't have computers and telephones and so forth. So the only way to get the information was having someone next to you or in front of you or above you who was teaching you directly. And nowadays, we can learn quite a bit along the path. We can really get a deep, get started in a deep way without a specific person sitting next to us, because so many of these teachers have left incredible teachings for us that we can learn and practice, and techniques. And yeah, that's one thing that I have learned to really value in the Gelug tradition, which is the teaching that FPMT, the school of Tibetan Buddhism that FPMT comes from, is that there is a lot of reliance on the reasoning and the teachings that are taught within the scriptures, that even in the most profound subject of emptiness, that we can develop and practice and test our realizations of emptiness through the reasonings that we have been taught within the Gelug tradition. If we're going down the wrong track in an experience of emptiness, we can check back on, what did Lama Tsongkhapa say was, the way we should be looking at objects, the way we should be looking at reality. And so this is so valuable. And so then I don't need someone that I am checking with every day to say, how am I doing? How am I doing? How am I doing? Because we have so much material. So I just want to say that. So don't get like discouraged, because you haven't found a teacher, and think, oh, I can't practice. And the way to actually get to having someone, because eventually you do want someone in person that you can relate to eventually. I mean, and it doesn't even have to be this life. But the way we get there is that we pray for it, right? And we imagine that our guru, our teacher, is already there. Because what we start to see is that first we start with the guru has all these positive qualities like a Buddha. The guru is our role model. And then we move more and more closer to the guru is actually a Buddha. And this is an emanation of an enlightened being who is in front of me. But that's a process of getting to the point where our minds see our teacher in that way. And in the process, we have to start to relate to the Buddhas that are present for us, the deities that we can't necessarily see because of our karma. So when we're relating to the teachers that we see online and Zoom, maybe visit, maybe, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama is probably the easiest one to see as possibly an enlightened being. We start to develop a strong respect for them. And when we're around them, we become better people, because we get this sense that they're watching us, right? Not judging necessarily, but we want to show a good, face for them, because we value them, we respect them, we care about them. So for our teachers, it helps us we become, and even imagining our Buddhas, our teachers all around us all the time, we become better people as a result. And we learn to be more kind, more compassionate, more thoughtful. One of the things that I have spent a lot of time doing is trying to be like my teacher, think like my teacher, and act like my teacher, and what would my teacher do, and how would my teacher act. And it's through his modeling, through his being who he is. And I know I'm not there, right? I know I'm not, close to having the qualities that he has. But at the same time, because he is human and special at the same time, I have the possibility within me. It's possible for me to develop these qualities, to move, to transform, to become a better person. And that's the incredible like gift that a teacher brings is we don't have Buddha Shakyamuni with us now, but at the same time, we have all these incredible teachers who follow that lineage, who embody what we call the lineage, the the passing down of the teachings. And one of the things my teacher talked about was that lineage, that progression, referring back to Buddha Shakyamuni, that it was warm hand to warm hand, which is really funny because my teacher always has warm hands. My hands are always cold and his are always so warm. Such kindness, such kindness. So we become better people when we imagine relating to our teacher. Let's see. Yeah, so one of the other aspects of a guru, and this follows this, is that the ultimate purpose of a guru is to show us our own inner teacher, our own inner voice that is wisdom, because ultimately we have to become the Buddha too, right? We have to become the one who is kind and compassionate and enlightened and so forth. And so this is where it takes us, I think, beyond this idea of a teacher being a cultish figure, one who we rely on blindly, to one who teaches us how to hear our own inner wisdom, our own voice, one that where we make positive decisions for ourselves. And unfortunately, many of us don't come to this until we're separated from our teacher, until we have to start to develop in ourselves by thinking, what would my teacher say? What would my teacher do in this situation? And then we start to develop, our own trust in our own wisdom that they actually sparked within us. It's interesting, initiations and empowerments, which are something we get in through tantric teachings. What they talk about is that what the teacher is doing, what the Lama is doing when they give you initiation, is like sparking your own seed, sparking your own wisdom, your own Buddha nature within you to practice that deity. They're like initiating that within you so that you can grow and become an enlightened being. Yeah, or at least a little closer in this life. Let's see. So how we do this, and this is how we do this is how we receive blessings from our teacher. And this happens in initiations, but it can happen before we get initiations, is through this powerful psychological process of visualization and meditation. And what visualization and meditation do with our minds is that they start to challenge our ordinary way of seeing things, our usual way of seeing things, which is grounded in ignorance. So when we do a guru yoga practice, a meditation in which we visualize our teacher around us or the Buddhas around us and receiving those blessings, is that we and with meditation being this strong concentration, this subtle mind that we're using, it starts to have an impact on our minds. It starts to shift our mind away from feeling like we are imperfect, flawed, stuck, like only this type of person, flawed, yeah, because I've made all these mistakes, therefore I'll never become anything. And I have these horrible habits that I can't change. And so when we meditate on receiving those blessings and purification, healing, whatever it may be that we're working with, developing the strength, the compassion, the kindness, when we imagine getting those things within meditation, and we meditate on it, and mantras help that too. Mantras, once we have that view of ourselves as going beyond our usual ordinary self into the extraordinary, then the mantras can also reinforce that. We keep up the visualization when we do the mantra. So the relationship with the teacher that we have seen, who is a human being, but at the same time a Buddha, bringing us their blessings, and then us, who are flawed, ordinary beings, starting to experience the extraordinary within ourselves, the possibility of becoming within ourselves, and imagining that that's actually, that process is happening. We start to have, at a deep level, we have emotional feelings, which transforms the mind. We know when we have strong emotional experiences in the world, that those impact our lives. Like if we lose someone that we love, deeply, or if we have a really, unfortunately, when I can only give examples right now of trauma, but also heightened spiritual experiences can transform our lives. It can be like set us on a course in our lives. And this is what we're recreating with our guru yoga practice. We're recreating that sense of shifting, in our minds at a deep level, so that it has an impact in the future, continues, and we may not remember throughout our day when we're cooking our meals, or doing errands or whatever. We may not remember our teacher then, but it doesn't mean that hasn't had an impact, that we don't view ourselves slightly differently, and slightly a better way, a more enlightened way. So this is how our teachers function. It's very brief, of course. And like I said, that book, Heart of the Path by Lama Zopa, can really, you can get a sense of this more. So what I'd like to do is do a little bit of meditation on some Guru Yoga. I thought we could use the first part of the King of Prayers, which is the 7-limb practice. So the 7-limb practice is a 7-part prayer that brings into focus these aspects that I've been talking about, of relating to a teacher. And even if you don't have a specific teacher, your so-called root guru. Oh, I looked that up too. Lama Atisha, who is one of the founders of all of the Tibetan Buddhist traditions, he had 157 gurus. So sometimes we get this view that we should only have one, like it's got to be the one. And I like that, when I was taught that, sort of stopping that view that you can have lots of teachers, and that's okay. I don't think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I can add at least 2 more. So at least 12 teachers in front of me, pictures of teachers actually in front of me, but I see them as there. Okay, all right, so let me bring this up, this prayer, and what we'll do is we'll just recite the verse, and then we'll take a few minutes to contemplate it. So go ahead and get comfortable in your meditation posture. Let's see. All right, so this is the King of Prayers, the extraordinary aspiration of the practice of Samatha Bhadra. So the first thing we're going to do is pay homage. So it's recognizing the positive qualities of the Buddhas and our teachers. And this is not because they need to be praised, but because it helps us to recognize these incredible qualities that exist in the world that we can develop. So we'll do the first two sections. I bow down to the youthful Arya Manjushri, you lions among humans, gone to freedom in the present, past, and future, in the worlds of 10 directions. To all of you with body, speech, and sincere mind, I bow down. So when we're bowing, we think first of our humility, that we have somewhere to go, someone better to become. And when we bow, we not only acknowledge that we have ways in which we can improve, but also that where we are going is worthy of our respect. In the next verse, with the energy of aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of deep respect, and with as many bodies as atoms of the world, to all you Buddhas visualized as real, I bow down. So bringing into our world, into our reality, this sense of the presence of the sacredness, that Buddhas are always all around us with their kindness and their compassion. We are not alone. On every atom are Buddhas numberless as atoms, each amidst a host of bodhisattvas, and I am confident the sphere of all phenomena is entirely filled with Buddhas in this way. And all that Buddhas want is for us to be happy and move beyond our self-created suffering. With infinite oceans of praise for you and oceans of sound from the aspects of my voice, I sing the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you gone to bliss. And then we start the second limb, which is the offering. Offerings are about decreasing our attachment and learning to practice generosity. Beautiful flowers and regal garlands, sweet music, scented oils and parasols, sparkling lights and sublime incense, I offer to you, victorious ones. Fine dress and fragrant perfumes, sandalwood powder heaped high as Mount Meru, all wondrous offerings in spectacular array, I offer to you, victorious ones. With transcendent offerings peerless and vast, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, with strength of conviction in the Bodhisattva way, I offer and bow down to all victorious ones. So here we can visualize all these offerings mentioned here, or anything else that you feel like you might have difficulty giving away. We can practice giving it away here. Someone who you are developing a relationship with, you want to give gifts. You want to honor. So this is part of that section, that aspect. And then the confession limb. Every harmful action I have done with my body, speech, and mind, overwhelmed by attachment, anger, and confusion, all of these I openly lay bare before you. So we open our hearts. We're not hiding anything, which is actually an antidote to shame. Being willing to admit our mistakes and then move on, forgive ourselves, allow ourselves to be purified and healed.
Snoopy, in, da, da, in, die. Snoopy.
Maria, can you mute yourself? And then we rejoice. I lift up my heart and rejoice in all positive potential of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions, of solitary realizers, here's still training, and those beyond, and of all ordinary beings.
Ordinary beings.
Of rejoicing, bringing joy into our practice. For all beings, including us, and our positive potential. You who are the bright lights of worlds in 10 directions, who have attained a Buddha's omniscience through the stages of awakening, all you who are my guides, please turn the supreme wheel of Dharma. So this is where we imagine that simply through asking, we receive. So this is where we imagine we've been purified, receiving the white light from all of the Buddhas, all our teachers, healing, purifying, and then receiving the golden light, strengthening, giving us those qualities. It's simply through asking that we create the karmic causes to receive those blessings. Blessings being this ability for the mind to transform, to start to perceive things differently, to have more equanimity, less anger and attachment. With palms together, I earnestly request you who may actualize parinirvana, please stay with us for eons, numberless as atoms of the world, for the happiness and well-being of all wanderers in samsara. So after the 2 requests, we do a dedication. Whatever slight positive potential I may have created by paying homage, offering and acknowledging my faults, rejoicing and requesting that the Buddhas stay and teach, I now dedicate all this for full awakening. So we seal this practice by dedicating it to all beings, to our own enlightenment, for the benefit of all beings. Okay. So there's this practice that is chanting the names of Manjushri, which is it's a long prayers. It's really nice text, and I'll put it in the chat box so you can download it. And I thought we'd start reading it, but it takes a while to read through the whole thing. So before we started, maybe we'll do that for the last half hour or so. But I wanted to see if there were any questions, if anyone wants to ask a question about what we've been doing so far. Just raise your virtual hand. Carl?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. So my question is, I get very like my brain doesn't compute the as many atoms, as many bodies as there are atoms in the world. So do you have any advice onto how to go and when it does, how does that visualization look like to you? Is it like a constant, you have a lot of bodies summoned, or is it like it flashes in and out, and like how does that visualization, how can I increase that?
So I'm always about going back to the reasoning. When we start learning about emptiness and how everything is imputed by the mind, and we recognize that Buddhas are omniscient, know everything. They know our minds, they know everything. Their minds are everywhere, that everything exists, right? Because they know everything. And they talk about a Buddha's mind not being separated from their body, the subtle, what they call the subtle winds. So not only are Buddhas omniscient, knowing everything, they're also omnipresent. They are everywhere. So I don't visualize lots of individual Buddha bodies everywhere. I simply have the feeling that that the world, my whole reality, is pervaded, is imbued, is filled with Buddha energy. They talk about the Dharmakaya being this this sense of oneness. So it isn't a visual thing for me. It becomes more a sense a felt sense of the presence of enlightened beings all around me and in me. Does that help, Carl?
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Venerable.
Sure. Tinny.
Hello, Drolma. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say it's really nice to see you. It's been almost 1.5 years, and it's been so nice to hear you and see you. So just thank you. Just wanted to
Oh,
say that.
thank you. Yeah, nice to see you too. Okay. Anybody else? All right. So let me bring up this thing. Hi, Isadora. Okay. Let's see. Manjusri, chanting the names. So there's gonna be on the 17th, Yangtan Rinpoche. Oh, somebody else. Just so you know, Yangtan Rinpoche is going to be doing a commentary on this practice that we're going to read in a few minutes. But SK had a question before we start.
Yeah, Venerable, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, the connection where I am presently is slightly weak, so my voice might not be so clear. So over the years, when you spoke about multiple gurus, in India, I'm an Indian. So I initially started the practice with the Goenka tradition, as a practice, and that's of course very experiential. And what I, over the years, last for 12, 15 years, I feel that practice continues to be a root guru, as it gives me a direct experiential through the observation of the body sensations, which is what the Goenka tradition is. The concept of anicca, dukkha, and even anatta, that none of this is me. But
Yes.
over the years, going through the Mahayana tradition, attending a lot of retreats with Geshe, Dorji Damdol, and so a lot of theory, where the philosophy is what I was exposed to. So now I have this thing about a different tradition which is practice oriented, and one tradition which is more theory and that kind of a dilemma, though both have enriched my practice. But there is always this dilemma that there is one tradition which is largely theory, philosophy, and more of a theoretical part rather than focusing on the experiential practice. And so where do I go? Am I on the right track, or do I still need to look for a guru because there's so many different traditions? So am I
Yeah.
clear, or I'm rambling?
No, you make total sense. And my first response to that is that those two aren't opposites. They aren't they aren't opposites. You do bring them together. I mean, even in those concepts of anicca, anatta,
Anatta.
selflessness, selflessness, suffering, and impermanence, that those are the wisdom aspects that the Mahayana elaborates on.
Right.
And enhances. So within the Goenka tradition, with your practice there, you are experiencing those concepts. So what eventually you will do is that you will expand your experience to include the concepts that you're learning through the Mahayana tradition.
Right.
So they come together. Now, finding a teacher who can bridge that.
Right.
Yeah, that is something that you develop in yourself, you explore for yourself. And you pray if you need someone, to come and help you in that process, that they'll come, that they'll show up, that they'll make themselves available to you. But until that person appears, and if you may not need them yet, right? You may be able to put those two together.
Right.
the union of calm abiding and special insight. You could think of it in that way.
Right.
That you can start that process of integrating those two, because you're already recognizing that they're both valuable practices, and you're
Yes,
one
no
being,
doubt.
one mind, so you can start bringing them together. And then, like I said, if another guide is needed, they'll show up for you.
Right. Okay. Okay. So I continue with whatever my understanding is, particularly
Yeah.
if I'm not kind of slightly digressing, like this thing on, wisdom realizing emptiness.
Mhm.
There are different traditions. One, just for an example, like if I'm meditating and I'm meditating on the elements, okay. So there is the earth, water, fire, air. And when you come to the space concept, of course, if you say there's nothingness, it's nihilism. So that's not where you need to go.
Right.
But so when you're meditating on that, I needed some kind of pointers. If you could give me a quick pointer that when I'm doing emptiness of self,
Mm-hmm.
meditating on self, and when I
Yeah.
come to the earth element, suppose the bone is the earth element in my body, and I say bone is not me. So is that the right way to meditate on saying, those four elements is not I, is not self? Is that the
Uh,
right way to meditate on emptiness of
well,
self?
yeah. So when you
So
talk
that's,
about the
I
four
think
applications,
maybe I'm kind of digressing.
yeah, it's a little complicated, but what I can say it briefly, okay, is
Correct.
that my understanding of exploring those mindfulness of those elements is that we get in touch with those elements in our own body, and it isn't just bone; it's also heaviness. I mean, the earth element is heaviness, and what
Right,
we do
right,
is we fully
right,
explore that feeling of heaviness or the feeling of movement, like air and so forth, and we
right,
question, is that myself?
right.
So you have to explore. You don't say, oh no, that's not myself. You have to ask, is
Okay,
that myself?
right,
Right? And then hopefully what the answer will be that self starts to disappear. Like, oh, I always thought that was me,
right,
but but you can't just say, oh, it's not me. Like, it's when you're doing those mindfulness practice with the elements, it's like you question and you say, oh, yes, it is me, because that's what I've always believed. I've always believed that the elements are me. That's what me is. But yet when I start to experience the elements and then I try to search for myself within them, I can't find it. It's like, what is there to hold on to?
right, right. So the elements I get it, but when you come to the fifth element, space,
Yeah.
when there is, when you're saying, and logically every atom is 99.9% space.
Yeah.
So you're basically again coming down saying this, I can't find the self.
Yeah, it's easier to experience a sense of space in yourself
Right,
if you work with the more, like, the stomach has space and the lungs have space,
right, right,
rather than the atoms. The atoms might be just a little bit too difficult to actually experience within you.
right, right,
They may
right,
be too far away.
right.
So
Okay,
I'd
so
work
that's
with
a good way to contemplate on emptiness. Is that the right way to experience that
one way.
meditation?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. That's one way.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. Wonderful. Thanks a lot. And sorry to take so much time. Sorry.
problem. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Venerable.
you're welcome.
Uh,
So
can can I also ask something? I can't raise my hand. I don't know why.
okay. Yeah, before we start, Elishiva, it's nice to see you, but just a second.
Yes.
Kumpenla, can I go another half hour? Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Ask your question. I think that's more beneficial maybe even than the reciting, but maybe we'll get to the reciting. Go ahead.
A private question. I'm sure everybody knows that now in Israel there is a big war. So I'm trying to help people Like, for example, yesterday I went to the hospital and I tried to work with wounded soldiers and their families and to do some meditation. So, uh, for me, it's very difficult to feel that I can really help them. So then I start to feel, oh, do you really, can you really help them? Or is it, you know, like self-cherishing? Lama Zopa Rinpoche talks about it a lot. So I always, do you really help them, or do you really think that you can help them? So then I start to imagine my teachers. I have some teachers. So my question is, I feel sometimes that I'm using them. Is it like, you know what I mean? When can I use them, or when can I just rely on myself, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you
So
understand?
yeah,
Yeah.
His Holiness. Well, first of all, okay, so His Holiness talks about this thing that bodhisattvas have, which you're acting like a bodhisattva, right? Going out and helping people. You're relieving them their suffering on a physical level, right? Probably helping them their personality emotionally by being there, someone caring about them, right?
No, I'm
But what
doing
he
meditation with them.
okay, that's great. I mean, that's like helping their minds, right?
Yes.
So he says, but we benefit from it, right? It makes us to feel good to help other people. That is one of the sources of our happiness, because we're going beyond the distinction, the separateness that is the basis of our ignorance. You know, that our ignorance is the belief that there's a self here, there's an other over there, and that my suffering is separate from your suffering, right? That's our ignorance. When we bridge it, when we start to care about others as much as we care about ourselves, doing the bodhisattva works, it makes us feel good, because that's the path to our happiness. That's the path to removing our ignorance. And so okay, so that's one thing. So yes, it makes us happy. So what His Holiness says is we should be wisely selfish. Wisely selfish means bridging that separateness, that distinction, and it bringing us happiness, but at the same time, we're helping others, right? So it's okay until we can do it totally selflessly, which most of us aren't there yet. When we can do it totally without self, seeing self and other as non-dual, when we can get there, great, right? Then we can be truly altruistic like the Buddhas. But until then, we can benefit from it while we're doing it, because we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome. Nice to see you again.
Yes.
Thanks for coming. Okay. Really? Are we gonna do this? Okay, let's do some. There's something in the chat. Okay, good questions. All right, let me do this. So what I was saying is Venerable or Yangten Rinpoche is going to be doing a commentary on this practice. I don't know anything about this practice. I've chanted it maybe twice, but I really like it. It was one of the practices that Lama Zopa, that His Holiness recommended. Well, that's the wrong thing. That His Holiness recommended that we chant to bring Lama Zopa back quickly. Tendrin.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so delighted to see you.
You
To hear
too.
you. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say that on the 17th, Ganden T. Rinpoche is going to give a transmission of this as well, of this
Yes.
chanting the names of Manjushri. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, I think that's through Jamyang.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, if people I'll put that in the chat later, the link to that one.
But it's
Let me
just
do-
great hearing you. I'm so happy to see you.
You too. Let's see.
How do you get rid of the hand? Oh, sorry.
I think our is it Rami? Is that her name? Our technical person will do
Oh,
it.
okay, I got it.
was gonna try to. Okay, let's see if I can share this Manjushri. Let me see if I can share this one so people will have it. I'll put it in the chat. What happened? Oh, I don't have time to do this. All right. Maybe I'll do it at the end. Let's just get to doing at least some of this chanting. And then at the end, I'll upload the document because I don't want to take the time to do it now. Okay. So chanting the names of noble Manjushri from the words of the Buddha. And that's what it is in English, Arya Manjushri Nama Sangiti, and in Tibetan, and in English. Okay, so we'll just go through this. I'm not going to give any commentary because I don't know anything. So we'll just start saying it and thinking about how this is our this is a practice that we're doing so that we can bring Lama Zopa in whatever form whoever he will become for us in our future, in his future lives. Okay. Homage to ever youthful Manjushri. The request. Then Vajradhara, ever glorious, supreme subduer of the hard to tame, the hero conquering the triple world, the Vajra lord and master of all secrets, with eyes wide open like white lotuses, his face just like a lily in full bloom, while shaking in his hand repeatedly a Vajra of the highest excellence. Accompanied by countless Vajrapanis with features such as fierce, turbulent brows, subduers of the hard to tame, heroes appearing with heroic, hideous forms, brandishing in their hands their mighty Vajras, the tips of which emit intensive light, great benefactors to all living beings, through skill, through insight, and through great compassion, with pleased and happy attitudes, with joy, their bodies those of wrathful deities, protectors who assist the Buddha's deeds, their bodies bowing reverentially, paid homage to the true awakened one, protector, blessed one, Tathagata, and joined his two palms respectfully. He said before the Lord the following: O omnipresent Lord, for my well-being, with due concern for me and for my sake, that I may reach complete awakening upon the basis of illusion's net, and for the sake of every living being sunk deep into the mud of ignorance, their thoughts disturbed by various afflictions, so that they may obtain the highest fruit. May you, the most supreme awakened one, the blessed one, the world's guru and teacher, who knows the great Samaya's reality, aware of wishes and abilities, reveal to us the great name chanting of the wisdom body of the Blessed One, the great Ushnisha, master of all speech, the self-arising wisdom emanation. The wisdom deity called Manjushri, these names with meaning both profound and vast, of great significance, unmatched, serene, with goodness at their start, middle, and end, proclaimed by Buddhas of the eons of the past, and to be taught by Buddhas yet to come, and taught not once but time and time again by all the Buddhas of the present age. which were respectfully recited in Illusion's net, the Tantra most supreme, by multitudes of mighty Vajrapanis, the joyous guardians of secret mantras. Just this I shall uphold with firm resolve until I reach my final liberation, so that I may become, O great protector, the bearer of the Buddha's every secret. And this I shall reveal to living beings according to each one's capacity, in order that afflictions may be quelled, so ignorance may be fully dispelled. With this request to the Tathagata, the master of all secrets, Vajrapani, his body bowed, his palms politely joined, then stood before the Lord devotedly. The reply. And so the blessed one, Lord Shakyamuni, the best of men, the fully awakened one, extending from his mouth his handsome tongue, a tongue unmatched in both its breadth and length, displayed a gentle smile to living beings, a smile that fills the threefold world with light, that tames the enemy, the four maras, that ends unwanted birth in all three forms. His voice melodious like that of Brahma, completely filling all the triple world, replied as follows to the Lord of Secrets, to Vajrapani, the strongest of the strong, that you, abounding in supreme compassion and aiming to assist all living beings, are willing and prepared to hear from me this evil-quelling, purifying chanting, the chanting of the names so filled with meaning, of Manjushi's embodiment of wisdom. How truly excellent, O Vajradhara, how excellent of you, O Vajrapani. And so I shall, O master of all secrets, reveal just that to you most splendidly. With single-minded focus, listen well. How excellent, responded Vajrapani, so truly excellent, O blessed one. The survey of the six families. And then the blessed one, Lord Shakyamuni, surveyed in full the great families with mantras, the family of the Vidyas and the mantras, the family that is threefold by its nature, the family of and yet beyond the world, the family great in brightening the world, the foremost family of Mahamudra, and so the family great with great Ushnishas, the stages of awakening according to Illusion's net. And then about the Lord of Speech, he spoke these verses, which include 6 kingly mantras, which manifest from non-duality, which bear the quality of non-arising. A, E, U, Ai, O, Am, Stito, Hridi, Jana, Mutri, Aham, Buddha, Buddhanam, Traya, Dva, Vartinam, O Vajra, Tiksna, Dukkha, Cheda, Prajna, Jana, Janana, Murtaye, Janana Kaya, Vagi Sarva, Arapachanaye, Te Nama, the great Vajradhatu Mandala. And so he is the blessed one, the Buddha, awakened fully, born of the letter A. He is the supreme, he is the letter A, the foremost phoneme, supreme most syllable with meaning great. Arising from great vital force, unborn, beyond expression, based on words or speech, the foremost cause of every form of speech, the shining forth of every kind of language, great feast who takes the form of great compassion, producing bliss in every sentient being, great feast who takes the form of great anger, great enemy of every mental poison, great feast who is by nature great delusion, delusion's vanquisher for deluded minds, great feast who is in essence great fury, great adversary to all furiousness, great feast who takes the form of great desire, who vanquishes desire in all forms. He is great carnal lust, he is great bliss, he is great happiness, he is great joy. With great appearance, bearing forms supreme, with great complexion, marked by great physique, with great renown, the great munificent one, his mandala voluminous and great. The bearer of the mighty sword of wisdom, the foremost goad for taming great afflictions, possessing great renown, his glory great, his brightness great, his luster most supreme, most wise upholder of the great illusion, fulfiller of the great illusion's aims, enraptured by the great illusion's rapture, the great illusion's great illusionist, the foremost lord of great munificence, supreme upholder of great discipline, intense supporter of great tolerance, with valor rooted in great diligence. Samadhi resting through great meditation, endowed with bodies flowed from great wisdom, both great in strength and great in skillful means, a brimming ocean filled with vows and knowledge. By nature great in kindness, limitless, the foremost mind enriched by great compassion, of great insight, of great intelligence, great dexterous one, with methods ever great, commanding powers and great miracles, with driving force supreme, with speed unmatched. Renowned great Lord of foremost majesty, most valorous owing to his great might, destroying the massive mountain of becoming, unyielding, holding strong a massive Vajra, great terrifying Lord, the great cruel one, provoking fear in great and daunting creatures, protector as the greatest of all Vidyas, a guru as the greatest of all mantras, traversing well the Mahayana's paths, himself the Mahayana's foremost way. The wisdom of the immaculate Dharmadhatu. He is Mahavarachana, the Buddha, great sage, observing great, intensive silence, arising from the great mantra way. He is at heart the great mantra way, accomplished in the 10 paramitas, having the 10 paramitas as home, in whom the 10 paramitas are pure, for whom the 10 paramitas are means. Protector, reigning over all 10 grounds, residing steadily on all 10 grounds, made pure in nature by the 10-fold knowledge, maintaining purity through 10-fold knowledge, with 10-fold forms intent on 10-fold content, with 10-fold strength pervasive, Lord of sages, achieving every aim for every being, endowed with 10-fold mastery supreme, beginningless, complexity devoid, by nature pure, reality in essence, unwavering, a speaker of the truth, with speech and actions perfectly aligned. A teacher of the non-dual truth, non-dual, atop reality's most lofty peak, with selflessness his wild lions roar, instilling fear in deer-like misled seekers. With journeys fruitful, traveling everywhere, as swift as thought in all Tathagatas, a victor, slayer of foes, triumphant Lord, a universal king with forces great, assembly head, instructor for assemblies, assembly lord, assembly chief, the ruler, most influential, bearing precious burdens, not other bound, his way the greatest way, the Lord of speech, the master of expression, most skilled in words, adept with language, truthful, with boundless words, the teacher of the truth, providing teachings on the fourfold truth. Not coming back, not turning round, Rhino, the leader of the Pratyekya Buddhas, gone forth by going forth in different ways, the single cause of all great elements, Arhat, Bhikshu, defilements exhausted, devoid of passion, master of the senses, arrived at comfort, met with security, for he, having cooled down, is free from stains, equipped in full with knowledge and its base, a Sugata, best knower of the world, not thinking me, not clinging unto mine, established in the system of two truths, upon the edge of cyclic life's far shore, with deeds accomplished, resting on the bank, emerging from untainted lone awareness, with sword-like insight ever penetrating, the sun, the Dharma king, the noble Dharma, supreme illuminator of the world, the Dharma Lord, the sovereign of the Dharma, the teacher of the path to excellence. Accomplishing all goals, fulfilling aims, completely free from wants of any kind, bereft of thought, a non-depleting source, the Dharma source, supreme beyond decay, enriched by merit, merits gathering, unique great wisdom, wisdom rich, aware of what exists and what does not, while gathering the twofold gathering, eternal yogin, king of everywhere, the object in the mind of concentration, master of intelligent reflection, for by oneself alone is he experienced, immovable, the ultimate beginning, the holder of the three enlightened bodies, the Buddha, formed of 5 embodiments, the omnipresent, made of 5 wisdoms, his diadem with 5 awakened ones, with all 5 eyes, maintaining non-attachment, the great progenitor of all the Buddhas, the Buddha's eminent and foremost son, arising from the world of true insight, the sourceless Dharma source, existence ending. Comprised of Vajras, wholly dense and firm, the newborn sovereign ruler of the world, emerging from the sky, the self-arisen, a massive blaze of knowledge and of insight, illuminating beacon of great light, a lamp of wisdom shining brilliantly, a light for beings, a lantern unto wisdom, with energy supreme, most radiant. The Vidya King, the greatest mantras Lord, the mantra king, achieving noble aims, the great Ushnisha, marvelous Ushnisha, the Lord of space, revealer of all things. Of every Buddha, with eyes the joy of every living being, creator manifesting varied forms, great sage deserving praise, deserving worship, a mantran born unto the triple family, upholding mantras of the foremost pledge, the greatest bearer of the triple gem, who teaches all 3 peerless vehicles, with snare unfailing, most victorious, the snatcher ever great, the Vajra snare, the Vajra hook, the snare of excellence. The mirror-like wisdom. Called Vajra by Rava, he is terrific, 6-faced, the king of anger, hideous, 6-eyed, 6-armed, the ever-powerful, bearing his terrible fangs, a skeleton, Hala, Hala, 100 faces proud. The Yama killer, ruling obstacles, instilling fear with Vajra impetus, the Vajra-hearted, famous for his Vajra, with belly large, with Vajras of illusion, the Vajra-born, the sovereign of the Vajra, akin to space, his core compromised of Vajras, unmoving, haughty with his single dreadlock, his clothes an elephant's raw hide, still moist, the great terrific one who cries, ha ha, who screams, he, instilling fervent fear, his laugh a screeching laugh, a booming laugh. He is the Vajra laugh, the mighty howl. He is the noble Sattva, Vajrasattva, the Vajra's sovereign lord, the highest bliss, the Vajra's wrathfulness, the highest joy, intoning hums of Vajra Humkara, with Vajra arrows serving as his weapon, his sword comprised of Vajras slashing all, upholding every Vajra, Vajra bearing with just a single Vajra, ending strife. With eyes like Vajra fire, truly dreadful, with hair that's like a Vajra set ablaze, immersion of the Vajra, great immersion, with eyes like Vajra's eyes 100-fold, with Vajra hairs that sprout upon his body, with unique figure marked by Vajra hairs, with nails advancing, Vajras at their tips, with skin that's solid like a Vajra's core, the splendid master donning Vajra garlands, adorned with Vajra fashioned ornaments, with booming voice his laughter crying, ha ha, 6 syllables producing Vajra rumbles. Great Manjughosha sound supremely loud, a roar unique unto the threefold world, the voice that reaches every bound of space, preeminent amongst all voice endowed. One more section. The wisdom of discernment. He is a being who's fully realized truth, reality, its peak in selflessness, supreme in propagating emptiness, unspoken, teaching both the deep and vast. The Dharma conch, emitting piercing sound, the Dharma gong, with lasting resonance, arriving at unbounded liberation. He is the Dharma drum in all directions. Without a form, with handsome form supreme, replete with forms diverse, comprised of mind, with splendor shining through his every form, with all reflections under his control. invincible, renowned as Lord Supreme, the Lord Supreme who rules the threefold earth, abiding on the noble's lofty path, great source of flourishing, the Dharma's crown. With youthful form unique unto all worlds, the elder senior father of all beings, adorned with 32 auspicious marks, most beautiful, most handsome in all worlds. The teacher teaching mundane good and knowledge, the teacher to all beings most confident, the world's most trusted guide, protector, savior, the refuge unsurpassed, the guardian, with rich enjoyments filling all of space, the knowledge ocean of omniscient beings, while smashing through the shell of ignorance and breaking through the cage of cyclic life, the thorough queller of intense affliction, arriving at samsara's opposite shore, his crown the crown of wisdom consecration, his ornaments comprising perfect Buddhas, the soother of the pain of threefold pain, the ender of the trio ending free, arriving at the threefold liberation, completely free of every obscuration, having achieved equality skylike, beyond the stains of every last affliction, aware of timelessness in all three times, most immanent amongst all sentient beings, the crown amongst those crowned with noble virtues. Completely free from every kind of substrate, established firmly on the path of space, a splendid wish-fulfilling jewel in hand, the best of all that's precious, omnipresent, great wish-fulfilling tree, most splendid, the greatest of all great auspicious vases, fulfilling the aims of living beings, a doer, an ally, most beloved of all creatures, aware of good and bad, aware of times, the omnipresent knower of the pledges, upholding pledges, conscious of occasions, awake to varied aptitudes in beings, with expertise in threefold liberation, with virtues, knowing Dharma, auspicious, source of all auspiciousness, of all auspicious things, the most auspicious, great splendor, glory, good, most prosperous, great reassurance, foremost celebration, great joyousness, the highest form of pleasure, abundance, reverence, action, venerable, great happiness, the noble Lord of splendor, the greatest granter of all wishes, wished for, the highest source of refuge, refuge granting, the fearsome enemy of potent danger, alleviating danger in all forms, with tusks of hair, with plumes of luscious hair, with matted hair, with matted locks cord tied, five-faced with 5 hair tufts, his head well crowned, his head adorned with garlands of 5 strands, upholding great observances, head shaven, the foremost observances, chaste student, with great austerities perfectly perfected fully. He is the greatest bather, Gautama, a Brahman, knower of the Brahman, arrived in full at Brahma Nirvana, awakening its branches, liberation, release, complete tranquility, quiescence. Nirvana, peacefulness, tranquility, approaching graceful entry to nirvana, the culmination, ending pain and pleasure, the state devoid of passion, free from substrates, beyond defeat, unmanifest, unmatched, not making manifest, appearance free, pervasive, timeless, fully omnipresent, minute, beyond defilements, seed free, unstained, devoid of passion, passionless, controlling humors, free from every illness, by nature most awakened, fully awake, omniscient, knowing everything supreme, beyond reality as consciousness, pristine awareness, bearing non-dual form, beyond conceptualization, effort-free, acting as Buddhas do in every age, the Buddha, endless and beginningless, the Buddha at the start, devoid of sequence, with wisdom as his only eye, unstained, Tathagata with wisdom as his body. The sovereign of all language, great debater, the king of discourse, best of orators, the best and greatest of communicators, the unassailable, the lion of speech, with universal vision, true delight, the fire garlands handsome to behold, the endless knot most radiant, great luster, with shining rays in hand, providing light, the best and foremost of all great physicians, unequaled in removing thorns of pain, a tree providing medicine for all, a foe opposing every malady. The lovely crowning jewel of all three worlds, a cluster of the stars most glorious, the end of space in all its 10 directions, the hoisting high of Dharma's victory flag. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Oh, great. Thank you for posting that, the names of noble Manjushri. Okay, so let's dedicate. So thinking about all the great virtuous karma that we have accumulated by gathering here together, and thinking about Buddhas and teachers and our own development and benefiting sentient beings, powerful, powerful seeds of virtue that we want to ripen for positive conditions to continue for ourselves and others. Thinking also that each one of these causes that we've created and the results that we are aspiring to, that they are empty. We're empty, having no absolute essence existence. The causes are empty. They're changeable. They are able to be directed. If they were permanent, if they existed absolutely inherently, then they wouldn't be able to influence or affect anything. They are interdependent. They are causes. They are dependent on each other. Thinking in this way then makes our dedication even more powerful. So in your heart, dedicating, aspiring, sending out these positive wishes that everything that we have created here today come to result in a positive way for others and ourselves. And especially dedicating for the quick return of Lama Zopa to bring light to our world once again. Okay, thank you very much. And I'm going to look up the link for the Jamyan teaching and see if I can post that. This is the... Okay, go ahead, Kopela.
Thank you so much, Venerable Dromala.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure having you here. Now, I just imagined you're up in a teacher house. You're doing an online session. You're right here.
Thank you.
Hopefully see you very, very soon in person. Until
Yes.
then, thank you so, so much. I wish you good health, a very, very happy and successful new year. Oh, today is Valentine's Day in the US. Big thing.
Yes.
It's a great
Yes.
start for Valentine's Day. Thank
Yes.
you. Wonderful
Yes,
prayer.
and in the Catholic tradition, it's Ash Wednesday, so it's the beginning of a really holy season for the Catholics too. So
Right.
it's an auspicious day. It's a really, yeah. So thank you for inviting me and for, all the support.
Thank you so much, Venerable Dromala. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. So tomorrow we're gonna have Venerable Namjong, the Golden Light Sutra, how to solve all the problems in the world with the Golden Light Sutra, which we read at Tushita, by the way, every day during the Days of Miracle at 1 o'clock. We don't put it online because that it's a little bit complicated because we're sitting out at Lama Yeshe Stupa in the sun. We have been enjoying lots of beautiful sun. Otherwise, it's quite cold still here at Tushita. So this is why we don't put it online. But you can find it. Of course, there is a whole, as Venerable Tendron knows, because she used to take care of it, there is a whole website about the Golden Light Sutra readings. Just go on our website and there's a link. And it has been translated in so many languages, because this is one of the main advices by Lama Zopa Rinpoche for world peace, right? To read the Golden Light Sutra in your country, and then many of the elements will be pacified and obstacles will be removed. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Venerable Dromala. Have a wonderful day wherever you are. If you're in Americas, have a wonderful day. Here in India, we slowly go to bed. And in Europe, have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you so much. Hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.